Welcome to the Wild Pitch Podcast.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back once again. Another episode of the Wild Pitch Podcast. And today it's going to be a special show, number one, because we have a current major leaguer packing as we speak. Number two, this is probably more important. I'm actually going solo for the first time. And
whoa.
Yeah. So, Justin, I think it's pretty good. I'm going to spread my wings a little bit. And I think from doing the show for a little while, I kind of understand now what like Justin Timberlake felt like to NSYNC and like Beyonce to Destiny's Child. These guys are holding me back. So
okay.
And
hey, I'm glad to be the first.
Yeah. So I can't wait till they listen to that. But and to the people of Long Island, the people who and anyone that knows Justin Dunn, let me tell you something. This guy, him and I have been playing a little phone tag, trying to get him on, and I didn't want to bother him. He probably did like 800 Zooms during the quarantine. He was telling me, and it even got to the point. This is the type of kid he is that he reached out to me. He's like, "Hey, man, we still got to do this thing, right?"
Yep.
You've always been like that, and I think everybody should know that. Like, you hear stories about people, but you're the best. Thank you so much. And
of course, I appreciate you.
Yeah, and I think the first thing we got to do is we had Justin's dad on. So that was part one. We got to make fun of him a little bit, right?
Yeah. Listen, Pops, when you want to have a drink, you get a bottle of water, nothing with ice. We got to school him. All you hear is ice rattling. We isolate ourselves from people, Dad, when you do these calls, so no one walks in on you in the middle of the Zoom calls. Mom, you got to have better spatial awareness. But he did pretty good other than that. I'll cut him some slack.
No, I keep in touch with your dad over the years, once or twice a year. I always respect his opinion. We have a good time speaking. I take a little responsibility for the drink. Like when he got on, I was sipping on coffee. He goes, "Oh, hold on, I'm going to get a drink." So it's kind of, he was just playing to the crowd. I mean,
yeah, but coffee doesn't have ice clinking in the background.
Yeah. I think at one point he had to give the keys to somebody.
To my mom.
Yeah.
Mom. And then I also would like to rag on him for not getting AirPods, because all you hear is his microphone bouncing all over the table. When if he has AirPods, he can just get up and walk around.
Listen, him and I, I'm in my 40s. Is he high 40s or early 50s?
How old is my dad? He's 50. He's 30, 54.
All right. So, this technology game's a little tough for us,
No, he claims to know everything, so I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it from him.
I could see him saying that.
He knows everything about everything, so I don't want to hear it.
Well, he was interesting, what's cool is, I got to know you 12 years now. You came through, I feel fortunate that your dad included me in his little circle of guys that he entrusted with your skills when you were a young boy.
Yeah, that's a tough task.
Yeah, well, he's like a good kind of crazy. I would say that about him.
He's certifiably crazy.
Right, but he's got a clue.
Don't, Jimmy, you can't say that. And you record it. What we say behind closed doors is one thing, but when you record it and you give him that credit, it just, his head goes shh. And then I got to deal with it. But no, he knows what he's talking about. I don't give him credit often, but when I do, he knows. He knows what he's talking about.
Well, he's smart enough to seek out people that know what they're doing.
Yeah,
and I think that's huge.
He's always been, I want you with the best. Whoever the best is, I'm going to find the best, and I want you with the best.
Yep.
And that's just kind of the way he is. And if he doesn't feel like you're the best, then he's going to go find somebody else. And that's the way he is with my brother. That's the way he is with myself.
I can't be like he was telling your brother, is what, 6'6" now, playing hoops?
6'7" in sneakers, yeah.
Holy crap.
Yeah, man.
And he was great. He used to run around at the lessons, and he was probably 6 or something. Who knows?
It used to hurt me when you told me. I'll never forget. There was one lesson when I came home from school, and he was messing around with us. And you, like, stopped the lesson. You go, watch your brother do it.
Oh,
I was like, never again is it ever going to happen in my life. Am I going to – and I think he was like 6 at the time. And I still don't hear the end of it. He
really?
remembers that. Yeah,
God.
I'll never hear the end of it.
See,
My
I gotta
dad would
watch.
never let me hear it.
I gotta watch what I say. I say hurtful things.
And I'm pretty sure my dad might have the video of it too if you ask him for it.
Oh, okay, yeah. Maybe that's why it still stands.
Yeah.
But you listen. You were a great player, and I mean, we taught you so much. You became a pitcher.
But I'll tell you this, like, I don't like. I tell my coaches, like, I don't really like taking PFPs. Like, put me at shortstop.
Yeah, I
And
was
just
going to
let me
ask you that.
go. Put me at shortstop and let me go. One, because I feel like it helps me stay athletic.
Yep.
Two, it's just fun for me, so it keeps the game fun, and like, I just like to mess around. Like, I still like to just put balls between my legs and pop it to my hand and stuff like that. And guys would kind of look at me like, "Where'd you learn?" I was like, "I used to do this once upon a time. Like, I used to be pretty good at this." So I love it. Like, my pitching coach with the Mariners, he ended up naming our PFPs athletic fielding practice.
Mm-hmm.
We no longer just are stationary, standing in line. We're turning double plays. We're fielding bunts with one hand, throwing them off our back leg, just being athletic. So a lot of it is transitioned into my game now. And I'll get balls on the mound and just, like, in game, go between my legs and not think about it just because of all the practice we've had.
Right. That's awesome. And you know what? I talked to the guys at New York Tech where we coach now. And, you know, I want to ask you, coming from the shortstop background, I feel it's so important. Like, if you're that right-handed guy and you go to that third base line and you're getting that force out at third, you can't throw that ball overhand and be accurate. You have to
No, you can't.
Right?
You can't. You can't at all. And, like, I think that's the one thing, like, being a pitcher now, I don't get to use those slots as much, but I'm so comfortable from, like, throwing from my ear or throwing from the side or going below my belt, just all those three slots that, like, if I have to pick off, I'm cool going from wherever slot my arm falls into. Yeah. Or if I can get a bunt on the third base line, sweep through it, and throw it from below my belt just because I've done it so many times.
Yes.
I don't even need to see the bag anymore. Like, it's just been ingrained. And, like, sometimes getting the instinct to where you feel the bunt and want to jump because that's the ball that you can jump on in the hole.
Yeah.
Just little stuff like that, and trying to make the mound as close to shortstop as I can.
There's no question. We argue with the pitching coach, Chris Rojas, who you met this winter. Mm-hmm. And he just says sometimes, he goes, listen, some of these guys can't do that. And it is a new angle. So it's like, but I know that even as any type of baseball player, you make a 45-foot throw overhand, that you get that yippish type feeling.
Yeah.
Right? It's
100%. And I think some of it is like, people are scared to make that throw from down there, when it's just kind of like, my mentality is like, I'm just having fun. I'm just being a kid. Like, that's being a kid and just messing around. So I love it. And, like, if I'm ever coaching, I'll tell kids, like, throw from everywhere.
I think it's going to find easier too. It's simpler.
Yep,
you're down
there. Let your body move.
Right. It's natural. That's what is supposed to happen on that.
100%.
It's just. But no, I'm glad. I wanted to touch on that. I mean, it's such an advantage being an athlete and playing other positions, and then, I always. There was a lot of teammates when I was in the minor leagues that came out with me at shortstop and took grounders, and they were the best athletes on the team, and they were excellent pitchers. And, they're always the guy that you could look to, you're going to turn to with, you're going to pick guys off with. They were just like cool. They had an aura about them, so, but the guy you have in Seattle is pretty good, huh? Crawford?
JP's the real deal.
I mean, like,
he's
arguably the best, right?
Yeah. He's going to be a very special player. And it's cool because, like, and like what you're talking about is having that relationship with P, and, like, knowing he wants to, like, I know he wants the ball on this side of the bag, and I know how quick his hands are, so I could fade the ball to the bag and kind of let him sweep through and just go, right? Because his hands are so lightning that I don't have to throw a bullet. I can fade it to his strong shoulder and just let him go through the bag. And we also have Phil Bone, who does an amazing job with our infielders, man. Like,
Perry Hill.
Perry Hill.
Yeah, we've all worked under him. He's the best. He's the best.
I don't know why I said Perry Bone. Yeah, Perry Hill. Bone.
Well, he goes by Bone. Yeah, that's his nickname.
Yeah, just Bone. Yeah. Bone is the best. He's been running our PFPs.
Really?
Yeah.
Bone
has been running our PFPs.
He's the best.
Because they want us to be athletic, and he does such a great job. And we have Evan White, our first baseman, just his hands are on a bag. Like, our infield is pretty legit. It's pretty legit and, like, very comfortable letting balls get hit on the ground and being able to pick up a bunt and not be scared to short hop it or long hop it and know my guys are going to go dig it out for me.
You know what it is too, when you throw from that different angle, Crawford's getting a easier throw to handle when you throw it uphill and you sling it sidearm. And like you said, it's even fading him across the bag. If you get on top of that and spike it to him, he can't do anything with it.
Can't do anything with it.
Right. So
and I think that's something like a lot of young guys don't understand is like, I'll have those conversations with JP or with when I was playing in Arkansas with Donnie Walton and Chris Mariscal and be like, hey, where do y'all want the ball? Right. I'll put it there. Just tell me where you want it, where you're the fastest, and we'll get it there. And it'll make the transition that much easier for you.
Right.
And just like being a student of the game and knowing your teammates. Like I know where Evan White wants the ball on a pickoff to get the fastest tag. I know, like I said, I know where JP wants the ball coming across the bag. And it's just that little stuff that I think people don't think about going into a game and stuff that really makes a big difference.
No, I'm glad you're touching on that. It's that stuff. All the intangibles are kind of gone in the game nowadays, especially with the kids and stuff, with all the lessons and trying to get like exit velo and, unnecessary measurements. But, so you're packing, you're going out, everybody looks at the big leagues through the eyes of like a Trout or a Harper. Here you are going into your first full season. I don't think people understand, like, this is a new territory for you, and it's still exciting. Yeah. And now you're going to have to go out and play in front of no fans. The experience is going to be totally different. And, I'm glad you got a taste of the real deal thing, but what do you think it's going to be like?
Honestly, man, I'm super excited for it.
Well, super competitive. It's going to be insane.
Yeah.
I don't care who you are. You can win the World Series. You have a good couple of weeks. You're off and running.
You're sitting pretty. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm super, super excited solely because for me, the fans add a different aspect to the game of excitement. But the part that really got me was the name on the back. And this gets me the opportunity to go face Mike Trout and not just have to face Mike Trout and have to worry about 50,000 people screaming at me.
Right.
I just get to zone in and work and face Mike Trout. And so that's one aspect of the game I can go to my next year and say, I've done this. I faced Mike a million times. We're good.
Right.
Now I just have to learn how to silence the crowd. Once I silence the crowd, then we're just playing baseball. So I'm super excited to just go play and play the game and really have fun and get a chance to really see everybody up close and personal and get to fully achieve the childhood dream and hopefully be there for a full year.
Listen, you're going to be there a long time. It's a great point though. It's like you're almost in a private room with Trout facing him.
Exactly.
I never even thought about that.
Or going up and facing the entire Dodgers lineup. It's one thing facing them on their own in spring training when on a backfield. Now you got to add 50,000. I'll much rather face them for the first time with no one there, and I get to just focus on my craft and go to work.
So, I mean, now that you brought that up, we're gonna skip ahead a little bit. So you make your major league debut, right?
Yeah.
And I was talking about it with your father, and when he told me the story, I remembered it, but I had forgotten. And you go out there, and I mean, what's it like in the pen? You coming out, and how many was the place sold out or a good crowd? Or I mean, I guess in Seattle at the end of the year, it's not like sold out.
We weren't in it.
Yeah.
But we had a good crowd. Because a lot of the young guys were coming up, and we were advertising rebuild. So we had some good fans coming out to see Kyle Lewis and Donnie Walton, Art Warren, myself, and then a lot of the other young guys that were already up, Jake Fraley.
Yeah.
As well as we have D, JP. We have good players. So
such a young team. I was just looking at it before. It's exciting.
Yeah, it's crazy. So we had a good fan base, and I had faced Cincinnati in spring, and had a pretty good game against them. So I was like, this is perfect. Like I faced their A lineup already. Mm-hmm. I've had success. My family's here. Like I feel comfortable. And this is like all before the game.
Right.
I'm good. These are the conversations I'm having with myself, telling myself I'm good. Walk in the locker room. Have my scouting report meeting. It's exactly what I had pre-planned in my head. I'm like, stars are aligned and this is going to be a great day.
Right.
I knew I only had 2 innings going into it.
Oh yeah, it was like an opener type game.
Yeah, I was told I was going to open from day one. That was my role. So I knew I only had 2 innings. My college coach was there, and I went to see him before the game. And usually, you talk to anybody that's played with me, when it's my turn to start, I'm headphones on, I'm locked in, I'm
Right.
in the locker room, like I'm to the T of where I'm going to be at every minute of the day. And so my routine had kind of gotten broken. I was going outside to talk to him,
Mm.
and then at one point, I got super amped up because I had just had the meeting, and I was like, I'm about to go have a day. And supposedly he looked at my girlfriend and goes, "This isn't going to be pretty." And
Really?
once I said that, yeah, he knew. He was like, "This isn't going to be pretty."
Oh my
And
God.
I walk back inside, and I'm all good, and I go out, and I'm very calm. Walk out, and then it was just a different feeling walking down to the bullpen and that long walk with a camera in your face the entire time.
All
And
right.
like, I'm trying to look down, like I don't see the camera. The camera's not there. We're going to play baseball. And then long tossing, I was good. I felt really good. I was like, all right, arm feels good. I'm gonna go get him. Bullpen, I don't remember one pitch in my bullpen. I
Oh my
looked
God.
over. I remember my flat ground. I threw a flat ground before, and then I looked over, and it was my dad, my mom, my brother, my agent, my other agent, my girlfriend, my high school roommate, and my college coach, all on the rail. And I'm like, this is real life. Like, this is really happening. This is a movie like I've seen out of major leagues.
Yep.
And so I start throwing. It was bad in the beginning. I step off and kind of get back into it a little bit. And then I always like to throw my last pitch as hard as I can, like kind of see where I'm at for the day. And I let it eat, and the ball went about halfway up the backstop. And I guess my college coach looked at my dad again and goes, "I thought he had it, but he's not back. This isn't going to be pretty." And so I go to toe the rubber up, and the first person I see when I look up is my mom. And
No
usually I
way.
don't see anything. And then
Oh,
all of a sudden the stadium just started to open up in my eyes. And I saw everything. I was like, this is not going to be good.
that's the
And then
opposite of Kevin Costner in that movie, right?
the complete and polar opposite. But like, that's what I'm trying to get to, where it's just
Yeah.
like that white noise. And it's just, I see a glove and I'm going to work. And next thing I know, Skip's patting me on the butt. D says, "Come here." And we're having a little talk about how it's over with and just get ready for the next one. And I was so fortunate to have some great veteran presence, from D Gordon to Felix to Kyle Seager to all grab me in a matter of 10 minutes and just remind me, one, I achieved my childhood dream,
Right.
and two, that it's the same game. And once I realize it's the same as that game, I'll be just fine. And slowly, me and Skip had a couple conversations about falling back on my routines and getting back in my routine. And once I did that and got comfortable, like just feeling comfortable to go shower in the locker room or go sit on the couch.
Oh yeah.
That that was uncharted territory for me. I didn't know how to handle that.
Yeah, because you're so respectful of the whole thing
Yes,
that you
exactly,
don't
to the
feel
point.
comfortable there.
Yeah, to the point of like, I came in the first day and my back didn't turn around to the locker room. Like I stayed in my locker. I'm texting people on my phone like, "Dude, I'm sitting next to Felix." Da, 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 da. Like, I don't want to make him upset. Like, I want him to like me. Da, da, da. I don't want these guys to like. So I'm just sitting in my locker trying to keep to myself, be seen, not heard, type of deal.
Right. Good.
And once, very good. Yeah, that was my whole motto. Once I finally felt comfortable enough to get in my routine and be like, I belong here, is when things started to kind of take off a little bit in Pittsburgh. And then in Houston, I was like, if they tag me, they tag me, man. This is the defending World Series champion. But
Right.
if I'm going to go down, I'm going down swinging.
Right.
And I came out and just kind of got back to attacking and into my own routine and myself, and had some pretty good results. And I felt good ever since then.
I told you, Dad. I said your debut is like, you would think everybody would have a poor debut or be wild, or because it's just. I remember I only played in 2 big league spring training games, and even in that, just because I hadn't done it yet, that feeling that overcomes your body, and it was like a point where the game was about to get possibly rain delayed, and I knew I was going to play 7 innings. It was like in the 3rd inning, and part of me wanted it to be canceled.
Yeah.
And I look back and I'm like, wow, that was the only game I really truly played in. Got my 2 hits, had a good game, knowing like, all right, listen, I played with those guys for a couple hours, right? And it was a great experience. It's a life experience for me at this point, and I almost wished it away because of the awful feelings that you get. It's amazing, right? I mean,
yeah. And then I always mess with my boy Kyle because he came out obviously first at bat, dead central on him, go up top, quick homer, come up again, next at bat, go up top. So he debuted the night before, and I'm like, all right, I guess I got to follow those shoes.
Right.
So
Tough.
I'm like, everybody asked about it. I'm like, yeah, it doesn't come as easy as it did for Kyle, for everybody. But
Well, it's easier as a hitter because if you fail, you go 0 for 3, you're like 6 other guys in the game.
Yeah.
0 for 3 is a totally normal game. You have nothing to lose. And I find it so much easier as a hitter. You just jump on a fastball, and if you ground out, you're like, yeah, man, I'm in the big leagues.
I think he walked, honestly, his first at bat. I think he got a walk under his belt to start his career, and then
that's nice too. Just settle down. But listen, the fact that you turned it around that's all you need to know.
Yeah, 100%.
Because that's really difficult. So when do you leave? In a couple of days?
Saturday, man. Saturday morning, I'm on the plane.
I know they're trying to get guys up from like Dominican Republic, Colombia, I was just reading.
Yeah, good luck to the traveling secretary on that one, man. I don't know how they're going to do that, but
are they bringing 60 people to Seattle?
They haven't really filled me in too much on all that. I just know me and a couple of my buddies are hopping on a flight Saturday, and we're going to get started here July 1st, I believe, or July 3rd. I'm not sure on the exact details.
You got to watch out for that for the chop out there, right?
The what?
The chop, the what's it called? CHOP. They took over the town in Seattle.
Oh, I don't even know, man. I'm not living downtown. I'm staying away from downtown other than go to the games.
I think they had some people take over the town, like 6 blocks or something. It's crazy.
That's ridiculous. Yeah, it was bad out there. I'm hoping it's a lot better. But,
I'm sure it'll be settled by then.
Yeah.
But I wanted to real quick. Like you left to go to the gunnery school at 13 years old. Is that correct?
Yep.
Like, you were that young? Yeah. I know you always laughed and we'd see.
My dad's crazy, Jimmy. My dad is crazy.
I kid with I have 2 little boys that play hockey, and I tell them, guys, you're going to have to go to like high school in Minnesota. I just, mess with them, and they're like, we are never leaving here early. We are not going out. And it's just funny because seriously, that's what a kid should feel. And that's what you do feel. But how difficult was that to go away at that age?
It was tough. Like at 13, man, I wasn't like, I was mature. I'm mature. Like I've always been a mature kid, but the only way I could wrap my head around it was like, okay, Justin, you're going to have a sleepover at your friend's house, but you don't know any of these people. And then you're going to go to school with them. And that was the kind of the way I rationalized it. And then I was like, you know what? No, you're just here for baseball. Just get through the first 2 semesters, and then it'll be baseball season, and then everything will be okay. And it took me a month and a half to finally feel normal.
Right.
And feel like myself. And it wasn't until we actually had like a competition. You know how competitive I am. And I kind of came out of my shell and started to make friends. I was like the weird kid that was in his room with his gloves, just like I was just tightening my infield glove. And I would tighten it and then untighten it.
You were always obsessed with that thing.
Yeah. And then tighten it and then untighten it just so I could stay in my room and have something to do. I was always that kid, or like asking my coach, could I go hit? Or I didn't really have many friends. I was just always dedicated to doing what I wanted to do. That when I finally came out of my shell and started to make some friends, the experience was much better. I mean, my girlfriend's an ice hockey player, professional ice hockey player.
Oh, really?
And she did it too. Yeah, she did it too. She went to all girls hockey academy, and so
where'd she go?
Naha.
Oh, okay, that's awesome.
Yeah, so tell your boys if they want to do it. I get all my friends that played hockey for the most part at my school went to play like Division I or Division II hockey. It's pretty big in prep school.
Oh yeah, it's almost like what you have to do. Now, looking back, did that help you get to where you are now?
Yes. It taught me how to be on my own a lot earlier.
Right.
I love to tell the story of when I got to college, my parents, we went in the room. My mom handed me my bag. We opened it up, and she took the sheets out, made the bed, did the mom thing. Me and my dad looked at the room, said, all right, this is like an L-shaped layout. We're going to put this bed here, this dresser here. That's going to give you the most room. We've been doing it for 4 years.
Yeah, yeah.
They made the bed. We brought the snacks up, changed the room around, dropped my clothes on the floor, gave them a hug. We'll see you at Thanksgiving. And I quote, we'll see you at Thanksgiving. That was what my mother said to me. And I unpack my room. I start texting my freshman teammates. I'm like, hey, what are you guys doing? Where are you guys at? I'd love to meet you guys. And I head over to one of my teammates' rooms, and his parents are in there unpacking everything, like super anxious about leaving them. And I'm looking around like, why y'all still here? Like, you guys got to go. We got to kick it. We got to get to meet each other. Like, they'll be okay. Don't worry, they'll be okay. And I just had that experience at a young age that it was just normal to me.
Yeah.
And even to like where I kind of looked down on some of my teammates was like, why are you going home so much? Like, it's not that big of a deal. I couldn't go home at 13. Like, just hang out here. It'll get better. You'll be okay. And then just like even now, understanding time management or how to pack, be able to pack up and move, and just little stuff like that, and mainly being on my own is just the biggest thing, and not having people to do things for me was the biggest thing that I learned from the gunnery.
Listen, anytime you can speed up experience in life, because we always can look back, and I mean, look at, you're in the major leagues at 24 years old. That's really young. You know, you're still a kid.
Yeah.
Competing against these men, and no, I'm glad. The biggest takeaway though is kids. Everybody says they want to do this, and listen, I think anybody that plays serious baseball in Long Island, your goal should be to play in college. You know, that's the thing. They think they want to play in college, but look, you sit at 13. I'm away from home. I'm homesick a little bit, but I'm here for baseball because you were like on a path to go play in the major leagues at 13 years old. Like that was, you knew that's what you wanted to do. So
yeah, I told my mom at 10 years old I was going to play in the big leagues. Right. I told her at 12 I wasn't going to college. Yeah. I told her at 12 I wasn't going to college. I was going to go in the first round and sign. I was a couple years late, but
that's okay.
We got it done.
Were you close to signing with the Dodgers when you got drafted by them out of high school?
If it was up to me, I would have signed probably.
Just to get out there and start.
Luckily, my dad kind of turned me away from it. Great organization. I was excited about potentially being able to go to LA and just say I did exactly what I set out to go do. But I wasn't ready. Like, you know how little I was. I wasn't ready to go work with grown men yet. And I didn't realize that. And when we had that tough conversation, because I'll never forget it, they texted me earlier in the draft, and they were like, would you sign? I think it was in like the 7th or 8th round. And I said, tell him yes. And it was for like a catch-up packet.
Right.
Like nothing. I said, tell him yes. And my dad looked at me and goes, if I tell them this and they take you, you know you have to go. And I was like, yes. And he goes, are you ready to go to work? And like I'll never forget, I slouched down in the chair like this and like stared off into space. And I was like, tell them they can take me, but I'm still not sure.
Right.
And that's when it kind of clicked, like, all right, maybe it's time to go to school. Maybe it's time to start. I wasn't working out. If I would have listened to my dad, this is where I give him credit for this. If I would have listened to my dad, got in the gym a little bit earlier, I might have signed. I might have been a little more physically ready to handle it. Going to boarding school, I knew I was mature enough mentally,
right,
to be on my own, but I wasn't ready to pay my own bills or understand that like you get a little money, you can't just go out and spend it. The little stuff like that, or like go on the road and have that freedom, and guys are going out and partying and being able to say like, I don't think I would have a problem with this, but no, I'm going to stay in tonight, or succumbing to the peer pressure of certain things. So I'm glad I didn't do it, but I was in my head, I was going.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard not to, and like the LA Dodgers offer you that you're going to be a professional baseball player if you just sign this paper, right? I mean,
yep.
It totally worked out for you though.
Yeah, I'm super happy I didn't. Again, great organization, but
and look at the ups and downs though. Even going to BC, like you don't go there and just dominate right out of the chute. You know, it was huge for you, that development.
Yeah, I always talk about. I had 2 years where I failed. My first one was in 2013, my freshman year in college.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't play. I almost left BC. Went to a JUCO. And had to like kind of figure it out and like really have a gut check. And it was the first time where like I had to stay for summer school, and I was pretty pissed about it. But I was like, you know what? I'm up here. My roommate's going to this guy called Cressy. Let me go see what he's about.
Wow.
Supposedly he was really good at what he did. So I went and checked him out. And that was like my first foray into like understanding lifting. Like we lifted at BC, but like, and we did some really good stuff, but I felt like we were just doing it just to do it. But now you look up and you see all these jerseys on the wall. It's like, that's where these guys are training, and this is where I need to be. And he started to push me and really had me put weight on it. I made my first velo jump and then went down to the Cape and pitched against Katuitt and got offered a contract that year for that year and the next year. And I had to talk to my high school coach, who was the coach in Falmouth. He's the reason I went to the gunnery. And we had to have a real talk and like understand that the maturity of, yeah, I can go play there right now, but the point of going to that league is to establish yourself as a guy in college baseball and to get yourself drafted. So I don't want to just go there and play. I'm not ready to just go there and play. I want to go there and dominate the league. Mm-hmm. I'm not ready to do that. So I'm going to go to Maryland. I already made my commitment and that I was going to play there, and I'm not backing out on my word. I don't want to just leave them out to dry. And it was like the first steps of me becoming a man and understanding like what work really is, academically, athletically, mentally, all of it. So that was a really big summer for me. And then the second one was in 2017 in high A when I just got smacked in the mouth. That was the easiest way to say it.
That was in Florida State League?
Yeah, Florida State League, man. We were playing Okuna, Ozzy Albies. Like that league that year was stupid.
Right.
Stupid talented. I had Peter Lonzo.
That's a good league, man. That's a really good league.
Yep. And I came out and I was like, I had a great year in Penn League. I was like, I'm just going to walk over this league too. I'm going to walk all over this league, and then I'm going to walk all over Double A, and I'm just going to get to the big leagues real quick. And that didn't go that way at all. I just kind of got punched in the mouth, and like I was having panic attacks, man, and like to the point of where I was calling my mom, like, I don't know if I could do it. And so to go through that at 17, I don't know if I would have been – I think I literally would have been out of the game of baseball if I would have went through that at 17 years old.
Yeah.
Because I had never failed at anything before in my life.
Right.
So those two things are what helped me in 2020 or in my debut in 19 when I had a bad game. It was like, I failed before. It is what it is. I'm going to be back. Like, I've had enough success and enough failure to know, like, it's just part of the game. I'll be okay. And that's what helped me turn that around so quickly.
I love the layers of it because, you know, growing up, I watched you, you know, as a young kid, and like probably one of the hardest workers on Long Island, hands down. And then you have different epiphanies where you realize you're not working hard in your mind and you take it to another level. And then you go to another level. But the most important thing you learn is how you grow with your mind and the failure, right? And because someone will look at yours, it's just like a rapid trajectory. You get drafted out of high school, you go to BC, but nobody knows about the stuff you're dealing with internally at all these levels. But it's awesome. That's what it's all about. That's what competition is about.
100%.
But nobody really understands that. One thing I wanted to talk about was, you know, it was pretty cool when we saw you down at Joe's place this winter, and I loved you were just there. You were talking to me about 10 minutes, and the stuff you were telling me about my hitters, I loved it. So I want everybody to hear that, you know, here's a guy who's a pitcher, obviously at the highest level. And I'm telling certain hitters all the time what their flaws are. And these are guys I'm with every single day. And Justin just casually hanging out, talking. And he goes, hey, man, listen, does this kid that's hitting right now have trouble with this pitch, that pitch? Looks like he does this. And he's like totally reading every one of my hitters and telling me all their flaws. And it was pretty awesome to go to that hitter and go, all right, guys, you want to play at a good level. You don't always want to hear what I have to say, but here's a major league pitcher. He just told me all of your flaws by watching two pitches come to you. And I think it was an awakening for them a little bit. And it was just, you know, that's another thing that guys just don't understand, you know?
Yeah.
How you can carve somebody up.
I love that stuff. That's the thing my dad's ingrained in me since I was a kid, is just be a student of the game. So even out here during the quarantine, man, I was so bored. I put a face mask on, and they're playing youth baseball in this back lot behind my house. Mm-hmm. I just sat out there and I'd go watch. I dragged my girlfriend to games. I was like, we're going to go watch. And to the point where I'm like, he's going to delay steal right now. And she's like, how'd you know that? I'm just like, I'm just watching. Like, I'm in the game. I put myself in the game. I'll never forget that day. Yeah, I was getting ready to work out. And I saw you guys run there, so I wanted to come say hello to you and Frankie and then also watch Matt Mione. I heard he was throwing, so I was like, you know what? I'm going to come down here and watch Matty throw. I grew up with Matty. I want to see what he's got. So just kind of watching, and then I was like getting myself – at that time, I'm still getting myself mentally ready to go play.
Right.
And I'm like, you know what? I want to sequence. Let me sequence now. And I saw guys, and I was just like, okay, da-da-da-da. And I wasn't even going to say anything. It was just I just wanted to talk and just make sure my eyes were seeing what I wanted to see.
Yeah.
Just get that validation. But it's always cool. I love to get back and help. And I always say, like, my dad pushed me so hard to hit. That's why I never hit.
Right.
But I may not be able to coach you on hitting, but I can tell you how I'm going to get you out. And whatever you want to do with that, go do. But I love doing stuff like that.
Your background as a shortstop obviously helps to understand hitting. You know,
yep.
It's a huge plus. So one thing you mentioned, you talked about, so this is going to hurt the Mets fans, right? Because not only did they lose you, they lost the other guy in the trade with you, Jared Kelenic, right?
Yeah.
And you told me a couple stories about him, which I was inspired. I wanted to grab a bat and hit because of his mentality. Tell that story. Well, I think you gave me two. Do you remember the stories?
Yeah, there's one I can tell on here, and then there's
yes. Give me the one because it's so good for a young hitter to hear. How good this kid is, right?
I have another one for you now that he did this year too.
All right, good.
In camp.
I love it.
But this first one was he gets called up to Double-A, and he's struggling, man, like getting chewed up, facing this lefty, chewing him up. And I'm like, what's up,
how old
bro?
is he here? Like 18, 19?
He's 19. He's 19. So I go, bro, what's up? You getting carved up? You get up to Double-A, you getting carved up? And he looks at me with a straight face, and he goes, nah, just waiting to see the slider. Once I see the slider, it's over with. I was like, okay. All right, big dog. So he gets on deck, and he gets up, guy throws him the slider, and he looks at it, looks back at the dugout, and says, here we go. Next pitch. I don't remember if it was a slider or a heater, but he threw him one of the two, and my man hit it, pimped it, flipped the bat, looked at me, and goes, I told you, and starts running around the bases. And then we go play in Amarillo a couple weeks later, and he's watching this dude, and he's a big leaguer came down. And we're watching him, and like he's another one, the student of the game. Like when the game's going on, he's watching, he's talking, and he goes, Dunny, he goes, this dude, big leaguer, I'm 19, he's gonna try to beat me with a heater. If he throws me a first pitch heater, I'm gonna hit it over the batter's eye. I was like, all right, let's go see it. First pitch heater, bam, batter's eye on time. Pimps it, looks at it, walks down the line. I told you. Fast forward to spring training this year. I wasn't at the game for this one, but I think he went to our hitting coordinator or our hitting instructor or our hitting coach, someone, and said, if I get a fastball, I'm going up top. Hit it. Starts rounding the bases in a big league game. I told you. He's just, for 19 years old, 20 years old, he's one of the most disciplined, smart hitters, all-around baseball players I've ever played with. He's so advanced.
I can't even fathom a kid from Long Island having that mentality. I don't know if they can, but isn't he? Where's he from? He's not from anywhere
Wisconsin.
Yeah, so he's not
high school baseball.
Right. So he's not from like Texas or.
Nope.
Where does he get that from? I mean, he obviously success and confidence. You know, he's good.
You don't have to tell him he's good. He knows he's good.
Right.
Which is what makes him so good. You'll never have to pick him up. He's had enough success. I think his parents are very hard on him, much like mine are. I haven't really had the chance to get to talk much family background with him.
Right.
But he's so driven, like the way I was coming up, but on steroids.
Really?
That man is locked in. He eats, sleeps, and breathes this game. And he he's going to be something very special. It's just the easiest way to say it, man.
He might even get a chance this year, right?
I
mean, he's a little
know.
young, but
he's still young, and we have a pretty good outfield core.
Right.
So I don't know. But I wouldn't be surprised if he forces the hand or makes it a tough decision. I'll say that.
Right.
He's going to make the decision tough, whatever it may be.
The only problem is he's not going to be putting up numbers anywhere to really force it, right? He's not going to be hitting 370.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting year to see how they do that. But
that's going to
he's going to be a very good player for a very long time, and I'm glad he's on my team.
So, like, thinking about his mentality and how kids around here don't have that, and I don't think they can because they're not enough, around enough people. I feel, but you're in a group. You got Marcus and Steve Matz and Anthony Kay, who you were drafted with in the first round. You guys were the same year with the Mets.
Yep, we were
all these.
For a little bit. Yeah.
You got Tropiano, right? A lot of Long Island guys that play in the big leagues are all pitchers. Why can't we produce a position player, in your opinion? It's a tough question, potentially, but
it's a very tough question.
I mean, why can't think about the training, the money people have to spend on training? I mean, I have my opinion. I want to know.
My honest opinion, man, is because everybody on Long Island is so focused on hitting that there's no good pitching. So when you for real, and you if you really think about it, where did Marcus play? When it was time to get drafted, South Florida League or South Florida Bandits.
He left, right?
He played on Long Island. Matz wasn't on Long Island. Kay wasn't on Long Island. I wasn't on Long Island. Yeah. Tropiano wasn't on Long Island in summer ball. We're down in Georgia playing against dudes.
Right.
So, yeah, people bang in Long Island. Some of the best hitters I've ever played with that aren't playing anymore are from Long Island. I'll say Nick Batari is still one of the most pure hitters I've ever played with. But I think there are so many guys that are trying to hit because they think hitting is the way to do it, but there's so many other facets of the game that they don't think about.
So you don't think we see enough awesome pitching to – you know what? You get a false sense too, right? Like this kind of is speaking to what you're saying. If you're hitting, 500 up here against very average guys and that's all you think, hey, I'm on my way.
Yeah.
Until you do get punched in the mouth somewhere.
Until you go to Georgia and you face some dudes.
Yeah. Well, how about this, though? And this is maybe it ruffles a little feathers a little bit. I believe that you have amateurs teaching amateurs to be amateurs as a whole around here. Think about the guys that – think about we had a little group with myself, PJ Antoniotto, Mike Gaffney, we were kind of the same era of shortstops from this area that went on to play in high levels of the minor leagues. But then you go, okay, who else played shortstop from around this area? You had Bobby Haney went and played at South Carolina, won a national championship. But how do we can't produce a minor league shortstop in the last 20 years?
Bobby Honeyman.
Well, he's a third baseman. He's great.
Yeah.
But he's one of the most recent guys. You're right. Yep. He's awesome. Bobby's the best.
I love Honey, man.
Oh, he's great. He has a chance to do something. But
I agree with you. I mean,
it just doesn't make sense though as a whole.
I was always around you. I was around Dave LeManchek, Frank, Catalano,
yep.
Glenn Mitchell, all dudes who had been in the show, been in pro ball.
Yeah.
And told me what it was like to be in pro ball, and that's what I aspired to do.
Well, you know what the biggest thing is? Just the way a guy like that's going to talk to you. And they're going to talk to you in a different way to mold your mind in a different way. Maybe it's not even the info they're giving you on the technique. But, I think it's a little bit of everything, and it's that culture and that mindset that you get.
Yeah. I mean, I think even just talking strictly infield with you, it was coming up, you're this is the big league way to do it. This is the professional way to do it. And you could go on TV and I can watch people do it the way you do it. And it's okay, Jimmy's telling me this is the way to do it. This is what I have to do. But then, and I know my dad told you this story, when I'm younger and I come through a ball and I go through it like we talk about, and I get told, stop trying to be a big leaguer.
Right. There
what
you go.
What do you mean stop trying to be a big leaguer?
Exactly.
That's what this is all about. I'm not playing the game just to have fun and just be out here. This is my passion. I love this.
Yeah. Yeah. And right. So you have a guy that looks at you throw 3/4 on the run, sidearm off the wrong foot. They can't do that. And they're like, that must be impossible. What's he thinking? That you just hit the nail on the head. I'm of that belief in addition to what you just said.
Yeah.
That you could actually go pay somebody to hold you back around here.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
If you're not smart with who you work with, yeah.
Yeah. And the
100%.
worst part about a guy who doesn't really, that's that amateur guy, the egos start coming out and, you know, they think they're the gospel in baseball and because they went to a clinic or they're just whatever. It just goes with the territory, right? You know?
And I think that goes into what my dad did very well was, one, he never put me with anyone that kissed my butt or told me I was good.
Right.
Always pushed me to continue to be better every day. And we never got complacent with anything.
Right.
So I feel like sometimes you get those coaches that are just like, you got it now. There's nothing new to learn, you know?
Right.
That's why I like hitting. I loved hitting with Keith Osick.
Yeah.
Because he was always
great.
like, okay, you got this down. Now I'm going to teach you about the big leaguer that puts the slider on the corner and you have to recognize it and hit the ball that way. And
Right.
now how to think in a box as a big leaguer. And then playing for Keith coming up and Keith is calling my game and I'm sitting there after the game and I'm like, Keith, why did we throw that? And getting to understand that at 13 years old. I didn't realize I'm thinking like a big leaguer at 13.
Right.
But he was teaching me at 13 years old how to call my own game.
He sat next to Jim Leland for 9 years. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And Keith is all, I mean, I know him a little bit and he's such a wise guy, like a wise ass, like he's got that pro wit about him. He's great.
Yeah.
And when you're around that mentality, you get that mental toughness in you as
Yep.
well. And they talk about
Yeah.
the game a different way. And I think that gets lost, you know?
Yeah.
So
I think
it's
I'll never
just
forget.
the culture.
He always told us at a young age, who cares about winning? I don't care. I don't remember any of these games.
And that's
I'll
what
tell
your
you about
dad
the homer I
said.
hit. Yeah,
Yep.
I'll tell you about the homer I hit in the show.
Yeah.
That's what matters. Why do we care
Yep.
about this? Let's just get better. And his son Tyler is like the perfect example. People didn't even talk about Tyler coming up, but now Tyler's one of the best hitters on the island.
Yeah.
Playing a pro ball, you know. And it was just the work. Like he just worked. He had to work the right way. Work as a professional, and Tyler's been a professional since we were 10, 11 years old.
I believe that people like, especially like some of these big leaguers, their kids do well. Not so much of the genetics, it's the environment that they're in.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no waste, right? You're not going to go get awful information and waste 5 years of your life trying to hit with launch angle. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's not going to happen. It's going to be efficient work. And most importantly, the conversations you have with that dad and being mentally tough. That's where, you know, but listen, before you go, we're very big on this show. We want call-up stories. And we asked your dad what it was like from his perspective when you got the call to the show.
Okay.
So kind of lay it out for me.
So we were in Tulsa, Oklahoma. It was September 9th.
Now that's in AA?
Yeah.
Oh,
September 10th. September
so you never
10th,
pitched in AAA?
Mm-mm.
Just skipped it.
For now, yeah. Knock on wood. Knock on wood.
Yeah. I shouldn't have said that.
But yeah, so I'm in Tulsa, and Game 5 of the playoffs, man. And
okay.
The Mariners were pegging our team to win the whole thing, like hyping us up. We play Game 5, and we lose. Like at one point, we had the champagne up to pop bottles to go to the second round, blow the lead. Champagne comes down. One of those games.
Right.
So we come inside, and just spirits are down. And our manager, Caesar Nicholas at the time, gives
so the season's over here, right? Season's over.
Season's over. Pack your bags, go home. I'm talking about shipping the car back to New York, going back to the house, pack the house up. We're going home.
You're not thinking at all that you might get called up?
It's in the back of my mind, but we had a roster pitcher on our team, and they had been pretty adamant that they were only going to call a couple guys up.
Okay.
So obviously the thought's in my head, but I always assume worst case scenario, and then when the best comes, I feel surprised.
Right.
So I'm like,
that's good.
They're gonna call Sanchi up. Sanchi's on the roster. It makes sense. Nobody has to come off. There's no extra transactions that have to happen, and he's just the easy bet. And then I'll go next year and fight for a job next year. So we're sitting there and give this whole speech, and then he kind of turns it and goes, when things come to an end, it's always bitter, but with bitter comes good. And he called up my buddy Donnie Walton, who was a shortstop from Oklahoma, and he just erupted crying because Donnie started the year hitting a .80
Really?
to start the year, had a real rough start, ended up finishing hitting like 315 with 12 or 15, like went off. So he got called up, and no one was really expecting him to get the call.
So they had to put him on the 40-man at that point?
Yeah, so they put him on the roster. So then the next one is Kyle Lewis. So he goes, we got an infielder, now we got to send an outfielder. And so, K-Lou, you're going to the show, and he's sitting right next to me. And I remember me, Evan White, and him just giving him a big hug and, like, going crazy. And one of our teammates, Jake Fraley, was already up there. So we were like, dang, you get to go play with Jake. Like, this is super hype.
Wow.
And so they hit that. Kyle gives a little speech, like, wouldn't be here without you guys. Thank you so much. Like, this is a dream come true. And we sit back down, and Woody, our pitching coach, who's now our big league pitching coach, starts talking. And I'm kind of just, like, at this point, taking my socks off, like, not really thinking anything of it. He's like, man, we sent 2 hitters. It's only right. I mean, you think we sent a pitcher? And he was like, yeah, we need somebody to start the game. So when you guys make your debut, somebody's got to start it. And he was like, Dunny, you're going to the show. And I remember just dropping my head and crying and embracing that moment. And so the bigger moment for me was getting on the phone with my parents.
Yeah.
And just saying, we did it. We did it. All those, the long days, the hard nights, the tears, the 500,000 miles on the car, the second mortgage you guys took out for me to be able to go play.
Right.
It all paid off. And then to call my high school coach, my college coach, my brother, my girlfriend who's been with me for the entire journey of pro ball, my best friends. It was really cool. And we had a 4-hour bus ride home. And I kid you not, me, and then we called up Art Warren after, another pitcher, who closer.
Oh.
Me, Donnie, Art, and Kyle are all in the bus looking at each other like, is this really happening? Are we really going to the show? And Kyle and I were roommates. We get home, and we're like, it's like 2 o'clock in the morning when we get home, and I lay in bed for like 30 minutes. I text him, I'm like, bro, you up? He's like, yeah. I was like, let's go for a walk, man. Like, we got to go for a walk. So we ended up walking around our housing complex, just talking about how we did it, and just our stories and bonding, and then get on the plane and, like, first time sitting in first class, and I'm looking around like,
oh, yeah,
this is pretty cool. This is pretty cool. And you get to the first 5-star hotel, and you're like, oh, my gosh, this is really what it's like. And then to walk in the stadium for the first time, I got chills. To see my locker with my name on it, my jersey in it, next to Felix, was pretty surreal.
Yeah, that's, I think I've said it before on this show. Like, people say, like, I've asked, even when I was playing, like, what's it like? Like, how we think it's going to be? It's 3 times better.
Yeah. Everything you think. That's everybody asks me, what's it like? And I'm like, everything you've dreamed of and more is the easiest way to say it.
Yeah.
Everything you've dreamed of and more.
No, that's good, man. I love that. That's going to inspire some people, I believe. And,
yeah,
listen, you deserve it. Again, as a young kid, I watched it, from a distance, and he would stop in every once in a while, and to see you now is, like, really cool for all the people that know you, so.
Awesome. Yeah.
But
I think that was the other cool thing too, for me, was like all the people that told me I could never do it, to be able to look at them and be like, I did it.
Oh,
that was the reason I worked so hard, just to be able to say, like, I did it.
Isn't it so important to have people tell you no, that you can't?
Yes.
I've always, like, I get that chip on my shoulder and that drive. I love that.
Yeah.
Love it.
I think that's the best thing that could happen to somebody.
Yeah.
If you channel it the right way.
Right.
If you don't let it crumple you. Yeah. I think it's the best thing that could happen to you.
You're right. You got to have the right mindset to channel it the right way.
Yeah.
Well, listen, go out, and we'll be rooting for you. And
appreciate you.
It's going to be a good 60 game, like, just intense. Enjoy it.
Yeah.
You're getting service time, right? You're getting service time the whole time.
As long as I'm up. So yeah. Let's hope we stay there for all 60.
Listen, let's regardless of what happens this year, you'll pitch 10 years. We'll be all right.
Your mouth to God's ears, man.
All right, listen, keep in touch, and Thanks again for your time. Can't thank you enough.
Of course, Jimmy. I'll see you when I get back too. I'll stop by practice or something.
All right, awesome. All right, thanks,
All right.
man. All right,
Of
see you
course.
later.
All right, later.
Bye.